Hey everyone, today we're just going to mess around with some discrete polylines and try to get a cool rendering on it. So let's go ahead and let's get an input shape going. I'm just going to use the sub D tools just because it'll run a little bit quicker. Go over to shaded real quick. I'm just going to bring down one edge of this. Let's bring it up a little bit higher. Let's jump over to Grasshopper. I'm going to load this in as a B rep. Set one B rep here. Okay. I'm going to populate this with geometry. I'll say maybe 125 for this one. I'm going to duplicate this down. And for this one, 5. We're going to play with some field vectors and all that stuff today. It's out just a hair more. Okay, and then from here, I'm just going to change this to a different seed count so these points aren't hitting on one another throughout our grasshopper definition here. Okay, then from here I'm just going to go over to vector, we'll go over to field. I'm going to do, let's do spin force for the lower populate geometry. We're just going to put the planes in there for now. We'll probably do some rotation series after this. And let's just get some fields working. I'm going to hide our initial shapes and points so we can see what we're doing. So we got the fields rotating there. What we'll do is bring up here. We need to merge all the fields since we have multiple points in there. Put that down. Bring out the forces and the points. So we're starting to get some fields kind of emerging from here. I'm going to mess with the iterations just a bit. Too high or too low. Slow down our grasshopper too much. The spin force is fine. I'm going to type in a different radius. Action between our forces so we can start to see how this starts to affect everything. Let's mess with the planes of the forces. So I'm just going to type in rotate and XY plane on every one of those points. We're going to rotate around the XZ point based on those points as well. Let's do a series of moves. Count, we can just plug it right into the point count. Okay, type in 15 for now for the amount of rotation there. Okay, remember, switch this over to degrees. Plug it into series real quick. Let's see how that's working. Looking pretty nice. So we should be able to get some nice variations here. And then these planes, what I want to do is do another rotation. We'll rotate around the XZ plane with all the same parameters. Into these planes. Okay, I'm going to turn all this off so we can see what we're working with now. Okay, we're getting some nice variations between the rotations of the planes here. We could probably up the number from 100 to like 300 or so. See how far it goes. Okay, looking pretty good. All right, and then we'll just plug those planes right into the spin force. See what the outcome starts to emerge. It's kind of however far you want to go. I'm just gonna get it so I can see semi-unique shape. I'm gonna increase the number of points for fields. Maybe we'll increase the amount of spin forces that we have. It's looking all right. It's the most interesting, I guess. That's kind of the biggest question for all this. Matching more or less the initial input shape that we had. For now. Then from here, I'm just going to use discrete vectors, or discrete, misspelled it, from the pufferfish menu. So discrete polyline, we're going to need a vector star. I'm going to give it 1 for now, for the number. Plug that into the T. And then what we need to do is divide out each one of our field lines. Move this all over. Actually, let's do it. This will be fine. And we'll type in 15 for the number of points on each one of the curves. Plug it into the reference vertices. Then we can just hide everything. See what we're working with here. That's looking pretty cool. We can mess with how discrete it gets or how undiscrete it gets relatively quick. I'm going to go somewhere in here potentially. Looks pretty nice. What happens if we go to the 2? Maybe it's just 1. There we go. So that's looking cool. Let's see if we can get different assortments here. Than what we had originally. Actually, this looks great. Something about like that. Pretty interesting. Okay. And from here, I'm going to do a little hand modeling, I guess, rather than doing full Grasshopper this tutorial. And from here, I'm going to just type in extrude curve. That's fine. I'm going to give it a direction, maybe somewhere in here. Bar on this. Just extrude it out, see what it starts to look like. Rendered viewport. That's looking pretty cool. I guess parts like that are interesting. Let's try to do one more extrusion, maybe a little bit more obscure. Okay, let's say yes. Pick a direction. I'm going to go way out this way. Let's go a little bit further than what we had previously. So this looks more visioning, I guess, for this particular tutorial here. Just going to bring it up there, see what that starts to look like. Looking pretty decent for the most part. Let's try one more extrusion maybe, otherwise we'll stick with something like this, I imagine. Try that one more time. Let's just go straight maybe. See what it looks like from an angle. Otherwise we'll try a couple other variations here. Looks alright. Take out my curves so you can see just pure geometry. And rotate. Been pretty decent there. Okay, and then from here I'm just going to mirror it around on itself. Something about like that I think is going to work for this particular one. What's it look like over here? That's pretty nice too. Just take this, make sure it's a little bit straighter I should say. There we go. Gonna rotate it up. Looks pretty good. So really, this particular model we can actually take a rendered shot from. Looks good, I guess, both ways. I think this will probably be our shot. And what I want to do is try to make sure everything's kind of level on the ground there. I'm going to do, so rotate 3D. Take this point, just bring it lower. There we go. Okay, and then from here, I'm just going to extrude it up, give each one of these little pieces some mass to them so it's not just singular poly surfaces. Give it just a sec to get the render preview to go. All right. It's actually pretty good. Go ahead and use it. Okay, and I'm going to switch it over to our, I just named this AI just because the material. Let's take a look what the texture map's starting to look like. So I'm going to remap that out. I'm just going to do maybe a planar, say in this direction. Just cycle through the options there. Okay. It's looking pretty decent there. And then from here, I'm just going to mesh everything out so it runs a little bit quicker. Since these are pretty simple shapes, it shouldn't take too long, and then I'm just going to join them together, keep our model relatively light. Still might mess with the texture map just a bit more. Just a moment to mesh. There we go. We can delete out our initial geometry, join this mesh together. It's looking decent. Okay, and then I'm just gonna click and drag, tap Alt on my gumball. I want to add a layer of material here. I'm just gonna say this is just plaster for now. So we still keep kind of the integrity of the model we created, but we added just an extra layer of color on the top there. Okay, go ahead and build our landscape. As usual, type in bounding box. I'm gonna lock down our model. And this particular one, let's do like a desert scene, I suppose. Maybe some water in the middle of the desert or something. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring this out. Okay, we'll rebuild the surface. I'm gonna say 75 points by 75 points. Hit OK there. Go back over to our shaded viewport. I'm gonna turn the points on. Not gonna go too crazy with the landscape this time. I'm just gonna get some nice kind of rocky, flowy hills through here. There's some smaller portions that start to rib out. Just like that. And for the background, kind of hide some areas. Just in case we decide to take a different view. Okay, bring up these little rolling hills. I'm gonna add some water to the mix. So a little puddle through here potentially. That down quite a ways. And we'll type in smooth. Okay. I'm just going to name that our sand layer. Let's go back to our render viewport. We could probably unlock everything. So we can play with everything in real time. This will be our landscape for now. And then I might just lower, actually I'm going to bring our plaster layer ahead. So it's a little bit more dominant over the color area. There we go, kind of Tron-like. Okay, and then from here I'm just gonna make a plane for the water. It's slightly lower so it's not overlapping. Go. And let's just center out that puddle underneath our model. Change the material. Set for Lumion. All right, so imported really quick to Lumion, so let's just get started on some materials. I'm going to do more like a rock kind of face desert thing here. So let's just go through a couple of different options, what that can look like. So much a beach. That looks pretty good. I'm not too sure about the overall texture map. Okay, snow, we don't want snow. It looks alright. I wish it was one of these though, which is alright, but not the best quality in Lumion, that's for sure. Grass and the soil stuff. Beyond me, but that's just how it is. We'll go with this one, and let's just modify the material. I'm going to bring up a displacement map, just a hair there. The relief, we're going to bring that way up. About like that. The water, let's go with a little bit more calm since it's middle of the kind of dry area here. So let's do black water would be fine. This plaster material, we could make it stone potentially. Something about like that. This material that we actually imported, I'm going to keep it. What I'm going to do is just add a little bit more gloss to it, maybe. Less reflectivity, so we still get some of the colors starting to emerge here. Is this the right side we want to render? This side might be good too. We'll try both. So other than that, that's enough for materials. So let's start to add in our entourage here. Okay, and around this area, I'm just going to add kind of some more dead plants. Not too many since it's near the water, but just the right amount, not to cover up too much. We'll add in some green patches as well, make it look like a real landscape. And then throughout the scene, we can just add little clusters everywhere. Won't hurt anything. Arid environment, so there was life here at some point. Okay. Just guessing in the dark because I don't know which view will technically render out, so just gonna kind of place them really randomly, and if it looks good, good. If it doesn't, we'll work it a little teeny bit. Patches every so often. Formation, so kind of low parts of the hills. So water was running off during some sort of storm or a fog. I'm sure it would run downhill, so that's where the plants end up. Like that through here. About like that. Should we do some fallen trees? Sure. Move one out through here. Switch it up to a different one. Something about like that. Maybe one around there. Could do a couple dead trees, maybe not a lot. Too overboard with this. And let's get some greenery by the puddle. Or the water, I should say, not puddle. Okay, so there a little bit of life's kind of emerging from the water here. Lusher than what I'd like, but I think it'll look nice. Okay. Side here. Maybe get some other kind of green kind of emerging through here. So we got same one, not bad. What's this look like? Yeah, maybe some lower. Sprinkle through, and then we get some nice different greens kind of coming through the landscape here. And around the other side, kind of add that entourage as well. Awesome. Bring it around here. They have just kind of really tiny stuff. Right here. A little bit, yeah. So maybe that's kind of just sprawling outwards. Trying to grow a little teeny bit. Variations of green will help kind of add depth to the scene here. Swing over to the other side, do the same thing. Like this. Let's add some entourage. Maybe this one would just be animal. Get a cow or two in there. And we'll get a couple birds. Maybe, let's see here. A couple seagulls on the ground here. Over here as well. And maybe just a few flying around. Let's pick our rendering shot here. I'm going to do realistic. Not sure if this ever shot. I'm going to mess with the focal length, bring it into sight here just a bit more. See what the other, excuse me, see what the other side looks like. This could look pretty cool. Okay. Centered here. Okay. Something about like that I think will work for me. I'm going to change up the sun just a bit. Get some nice shadows happening here. This one, let's add in a little bit more entourage. I'm going to add some ducks and the water there. Pipes. And let's go back to our grass here. Sort of sprawl it out so we get some in the foreground. It's a little empty, to be quite frank. You could add weeds too if you wanted. Back to our dead tree one more time. Get it one in our foreground again. Let's add a little bit of wood. Scale this up just a bit. Do the same around here. And let's see what weeds we got. This could look good or really bad with the weeds. It might look bad. I'm going to go back to our grass, actually. Scale it back down. Okay, see what that starts to look like. Much better. Okay, so leave a little foreground space here. Save that camera. I'm going to add a few more dead entourage in the background. Push up through here. It's a little barren, or empty, I guess, for the scene. Oh, like that looks good to me. Go over here. Kind of liking it, yeah. Bring it up. Level shot looks pretty good. Over. It's pretty good. Lighting. It's with the sky, maybe. It's pretty stormy. It's just all right. If we go back to this one, might be a little bit brighter, make more sense towards the scene here. Added a sun, might help out quite a bit more. Looks pretty dark. Taking that, mess with the stone material. Let's bring up the actual map on it. And bring down all the relief and the reflectivity so we just get kind of a more matte finish. This one, I'm going to bring up the reflectivity again. Good. See what the other side renders out like, just for the sake of it. I don't want to redo a bunch, but if we have to, actually this might be better. think this is better. Hate to see when you spend so much time on one singular view, but this one is just seemingly looking better, unless we do kind of a cow in the foreground there. Kind of interesting. Totally symmetrical, I guess. Sun back around. One of these shots might be it. It's looking pretty sharp. Mess with the material one more time on that stone. Brighten it up a little bit more. Might even add just a little bit of emission so it brightens it out. Try that one more time. Kind of kills it. Bring that down. Doesn't look like this again. Digging something like this, I guess. And save this view, I guess. Now, let's just go back to filling out the space just a hair more. Add some dead plants in the background here. Grass in our foreground one more time. I want to see the model hit the ground, so stuff kind of populating through. And what else? Get some pinkier stuff next to the cow there. It's looking sweet. And what if we do some forest wood one more time? Which one did we pick before? There we go. Bring up the scale. There we go. Hit OK. Let's go back to our view. All that extra detail we just put in. So bring out. I think something about like this looks good to me. Save it. I might just try to get a bird flying in our scene. It's a little empty. Bird's good. Nice. I'm going to fill out just a hair more right on that corner. Just with smaller stuff. Down scale. This will be our rendering, so we'll touch it up in Photoshop next. Alright, so we got some kind of darker areas in here, so all I'm going to do is just take the burn tool. I did add just a little bit of precipitation, just add a little bit more texture to the ground. The material that we picked wasn't the greatest, plus it adds a little bit more brownish hues to the overall scene. So I'm just going through, lighten up some of the green areas, so that's kind of a focal point. And then we could lighten up some of these through here. Sort back to what we had underneath here. Sir. Okay. Lighten up some areas, get the green kind of popping. Okay. Let's check to see our auto tone. Looks better. Auto colored, no difference. Auto contrast, no difference. And then I'm just going to add a vignette. Make a new layer. Top and bottom there. We're all finished. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll be doing more. Summer's pretty much over, so we are going into winter. It's going to be hopefully not a cold one, but hopefully we'll be doing more tutorials on and off this coming fall and winter. So have a good one. Bye, everyone.